Hello and welcome to the next installment of the Portent webinar. My name is Ariana and I will be your moderator for today's webinar, which is the 30-minute SEO audit by Ken Colborn, our technical SEO strategist here at Portent. We would love it if you would join in on this webinar today, and you can do that a couple of ways. You can post questions in the question window in the GoToWebinar panel. You can also tweet us and use the hashtag PortentU. That's hashtag PORTENT and the letter U. And just so you know, in case you miss out on any of today's webinar or you want to review it later, you will get a reminder or a follow-up email with all of the links to the slide share, the recording, and the bit.ly link bundle, which will have any of the reference materials that Ken uses today. So without further ado, Ken, I would like to introduce you and please share your wisdom of the SEO audit.
Alrighty.
Hey, Ken.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Let's see. All right. So, welcome to today's webinar. I'm going to be going over the 30-day SEO, or sorry, not 30-day, that would be a lot longer, 30-minute SEO audit. So, get you a little bit of background. I work at Portent. So greetings from the Smith Tower here. We're in downtown Seattle, interactive marketing agency. So we've been around for a long, long time, 19 years in the industry. We do have this marketing stack that we really believe in. It's not just about SEO, not just about PPC, but we believe in more of a holistic experience for marketing. So I'll be touching on SEO as the main thing, but I'll also get into a little bit of social, a little bit of content, because it's all really related. And a little bit about me. I've been with Portent for a little over a year now, but I've been working with SEO for 5 years. I've been in the website industry for the last 15 years. I've done everything from web design to programming and now to SEO. I also love all things analytics. I'm really the analytics geek here, and I'm also a very big geek as well. I do weird stuff like write a unicycle. So, which wasn't really popular in middle school, but I did it anyways. So that tells you a little bit about me. Here at Portent, we're really happy and proud of our geekness. So that's enough of my geek creds there. So first, I want to start off with a little bit of warning or caveats of what this presentation is and what it will and will not do for you. So what this is, it's really a high-level review to help you find out some of the common SEO problems that you have on your site. And there's some things that this won't do for you. It really won't make you an SEO expert, and it won't really show you how to fix everything. I'm going to really show you how to diagnose some things, but I don't go into detail about how to fix it, and that you might have to do a little bit more research and find some things out on your own. Another thing is this won't replace an SEO expert. There's a lot of time and research and learning that goes into learning SEO, and you can't replace those years of experience through a simple SEO audit like this. But it might give you a chance to find out what you think is wrong with the site, and then talk smartly to the expert, or use it as a diving point to further your research. So with that, what is an SEO audit? And really, I kind of have to step back here. First, you have to figure out what is SEO. And SEO is really kind of a combination of 3 main areas. First, you have the technical aspect of the site. This includes all that geeky stuff, coding, servers, load time, and many other things that you really don't want to get into unless you really have you like to get into the source of the code. So I'm going to walk you through some of those things. Next, there's more of the marketing side of things. This but it's a little bit more than just keywords. It's about giving your audience something they want, something they will read, and then have them actually take some desired action on the site. The next thing is looking at off-site SEO, and that's where you really where your site gains authority from other places on the web. So you might have heard that link building is dead, but really I've found that it roams the street. It's very much alive, and nowadays we have to be a little bit smarter about building quality links and do it more naturally. You don't want to farm out your link building to the lowest bidder and bring in like thousands of links overnight, but you want to do it smartly and really build an audience, not links. So to start things off, I'm going to start going over the technical review of the audit here. So this is where we're really going to dig into the code. But what is the technical audit, or what's technical SEO? For one thing, you may have great content, great authority on your site, but if something's blocking that search engine, then you're going to have some major problems. So you want to make sure that nothing's blocking the search engines. Then you want to make sure that once they're able to crawl and understand your site, that you're not sending them mixed signals. Just like dating, you don't want to confuse the other person, but you want to make sure everything's very crystal clear and sending the right signals. Let's see. So the first thing I do when looking at the technical side of things, I crawl the site. So for this, I use a tool called Screaming Frog. There's other crawlers out there, but it's nice because it saves you tons of time, because you don't have to go through the site page by page, viewing the source on everything. So it's fantastic for that. And so you get like an export like this on this page. And then what I usually do, I export it out to Excel so I could actually play with that data. I put everything in a table, do a lot of sorts, filters. So you really should be familiar with Excel. If not, you can do some really easy, simple things just by sorts and filters. With that, first thing I do in here, and I'll give you kind of a warning or a note here. In this presentation, I'm looking at REI. I really like their site. They do a lot of things really well. But I've kind of fibbed on some of this data to give you something to look at. So this is not always 100% real data, but I changed it just to show you what's going on and what different things are possible and what to look for. So for this first part, we want to look what's in this Screaming Frog is called status code. And this looks at the HTTP status code of the page. And this is a little bit of code that is not visible to you or me when we go to a site, but it's kind of a little bit of code that's sent from your server to the browser or to the search engine, basically to tell them what the status of that page is. And so you might be familiar with the 404, page not found, but let me go into some of the other numbers that are there. So first one, status 200. This is the one you want to see most of all, is everything's good. The next one, permanent redirect. So this means it's going from one URL and it's targeting the other one. So this is the 301 is the search friendly or SEO friendly way to redirect, because it actually passes the authority from the old URL to the new page that you're targeting. So this is what you want to use most of the time. There's the 302 redirect. This is called a temporary redirect, and not the best thing. There's a couple reasons for this. One is it doesn't pass that authority. So if you have links to a page and you're redirecting it to a new page, it doesn't pass that authority to the new page, because it says, hey, this is a temporary redirect. It's going to go away soon and go back to normal. And for the same reason, Google will hold off on updating their index if they run into a 302. So you might see that redirected link still show up on the search engines. And so that's not a good thing. you want to see the newest pages on the index. You want to see those old URLs that you don't use disappear. And so the bad thing about this is when you make a redirect on a lot of servers, this is the redirect that it adds by default. So you really want to specify 301. The only time you would use a 302 is if it's really a temporary situation where maybe you have a special thing going on, special page up for a couple of days, you want to repoint a page to that, that's fine. Or if you have the servers down or a page is down, that's a good time to use it, just for temporary measures. The next thing, you're all very familiar with this most likely, is page not found. And usually this is not good because you don't want people to find pages that are no longer there. And when you're going through that the crawl data, the crawl export, if you find 404s, that means somewhere on the site you're linking to that page. So you want to go back, find any pages that are pointed to that 404 and redirect them to the new page or remove them altogether. Another good thing you can do is redirect this old page not found to a newer version if it exists. If the page is totally gone, you don't have any new page that takes its place, then you can leave it as a 404. Just know that eventually that link will be gone from the search engines. This is one you probably won't find too much, but you'll find it once in a while. You'll find an internal server error. Not a good thing. This is one you want to pass on to the programmers, and let them know, get it fixed as soon as possible. That way, you keep the user experience really good for the site. So we looked at the status code. Now we want to go over to the meta robots field. So the meta robots is a HTML tag that's found on the head of your web page, and it gives directions to the search engines when they get to that page. So you'll find, like here on the top, it looks like a meta name equals robots, content equals no index. So that's what the meta tag looks like. And in this case, the no index, that's telling the search engines, okay, don't index this page. We don't want it to show up in the search results. And really you don't want to do this unless there's a good reason, because you want to give the search engines the choice to look at everything on your site. So don't no index it unless you really, really need to. The next thing is kind of related to the no index. This is a no follow. So this means you don't want, when Google or another search engine gets to that page, you don't want them to follow any of the links that are contained on that page. So you don't want to do this either unless you have a really good reason. Really, I can't think of many instances of where it is a good reason. So I would say most likely let the search engines follow just about everything. All right, here's kind of an oldie but a goodie one. It's basically if you have problems with Google replacing your meta description. Usually, in the past they've used DMOZ and the Yahoo directory as sources for that. Now I haven't seen that as much recently, but you'll still run into sites that have these, the no ODP and no YDIR. So, that's what it is. Nothing to worry about, but like I said in here, you don't really need it in most cases unless you really have a problem. And most of the time nowadays, Google doesn't use those as sources, so it's kind of a little bit of outdated thing. Okay, so next we're going to go to something that's very similar, does the same kind of thing. It's the Robots.txt File. So what this is, it's kind of, instead of the meta tags doing everything on the page level, this is something you put all your disallows, all your information all on one page. And this is where the search engines, when they first get to your site, they hit this first to look for instructions. And so, on this you could tell it, okay, I want to disallow this folder or these files. And this is a good thing for, blocking pop-up pages or your cart or your checkout or any PPC landing pages. Anything you don't want the search engine to find or show up on the search results. So that's good. But you want to make sure you don't block everything. In the past, it's been a kind of a best practice to block your CSS, your JavaScript, and maybe even your images. But you really don't want to do that anymore. And that's really because Google is now using those files to render your page as they crawl it. Just like in this one, this is a rendering of our important homepage. So it used to really go look at just the source code, look at the text in there, but now Google's getting a lot more advanced, and it's looking at how your page renders. And this is really to stop people from doing the crazy stuff for hiding text off the site with a CSS or hiding it underneath an image. All the spammy old SEO practices that the black hat things that people used to do. So, what you want to make sure is you don't block that stuff. Otherwise, you might get hit with some sort of Panda penalty, because penalty looks at your content, looks at how it looks on the page. And if they see it's all really messed up on the page, you might get hit because they might think, oh, your page isn't working correctly. So make sure that everything is those CSS, JavaScript, and image files are crawlable. Okay, so that's it for the Robots.txt file. It's a pretty simple thing. Next, we're going to look into some canonical issues. This is also known as duplicate content. And really, a lot of people are scared or worried about duplicate content, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's kind of a smaller issue, and it's something that if Google finds the same content in multiple places, it's going to really automatically pick the one that it thinks is best. But sometimes that's not the best thing because it might choose wrongly. So you want to really give it a little bit of direction. So I want to tell you, through the crawl of what to look for when you're looking for these duplicate content or canonical issues. So first in the crawl, first thing I like to do is look for duplicate title tags. A lot of times you'll find, pages with the same title but with different URLs. And so this is the first clue. So you'll look at that, then you'll go and you'll look at the URLs and say, okay, so like this bottom one, it says, REI belts, and then on that it has REI, and it has some query string in there about categories and filters. So really, that one's not that bad. That means it's just, it's filtering on that page. So it's a main category that shows all the belts for REI sales. It's not a bad thing. The top one, I made this up to show you some different examples of what you might find. This is many different instances of a home page, and I have seen sites that do this. They have on this instance the rei.com / is a home page, or they might have /index or /home. Those are all things that might actually render, and it's a really problem because the search engine might choose the wrong one. And you want to just be consistent in everything that you do. So, in this instance, I grabbed these, same content. You want to go to the site, look to make sure that the content is actually the same. And then there's different things you can fix to fix this. One, you could remove the page or remove that URL. You could simply just add a redirect. You can also block the page. We've talked about a couple ways, using the Robots.txt file or, the meta tags, different ways you can block Google from indexing those pages. Or you could suggest a default page. And that's really done with, it's called a rel canonical tag. It's, really a link tag with, that tells Google, okay, I may have all these separate URLs, but this is the one that I want to show up in the search results. So you would place this on all the different variations of that page. So in this instance, all these pages would have that same canonical tag on there. Okay. So that's kind of it for that. You can get in a lot deeper in the duplicate content, but don't want to touch on that too much right now. The next thing we want to do is look at some of the headings. These are the H1, H2, H3 tags. And for the H1, this is really the main topic of the page. It's much like the headline on a newspaper or a magazine. This is where it draws the attention from the user. It tells them what's going on, what to expect on that page. And really, you really want one H1 on the page. Otherwise, it might confuse the search engines of, oh, is this the main topic or is this one? You really want to make it clear. And then below that, you would have H2s. And you could have multiple of those. These are like subheadings on a paper. And these would be related to subtopics that you're talking about, something a little bit more specific. And H3s are the same. So you could have multiple H2s, H3s, but just one H1. And here's kind of an example. Cars would be the main topic of the page, but you might have different sections breaking out. Oh, here's our American cars, and you might talk about Ford and Chevy. Or you might have another section on that page talking about the Japanese cars. And so that's how it works. That's the basic hierarchy of headings. And you want to make sure that the pages are using them correctly. You don't want things like using the headings on some global elements like the header or the footer or maybe even the side menus. It's really common for designers to misuse H1s or H2s as style elements instead of actually declaring a style for it. So, just something to be aware of and to watch out for. And it's usually something I have to add to just about all of my SEO audits. And then next thing we want to do is look for different subdomains. So in this case, you could just go to Google itself. You put site, and then your domain name. So you want to do it without the W's so you can see all the other subdomains. So in this case, I looked at a site called jobalign.com. And you can see different things like, okay, they have the www subdomain. Looking down, they have a demo.jobalign. And then they got Fairmont, they have H&R Block. So they have multiple subdomains. And this is, not a good thing because, we talked about authority on your site. And Google and other search engines really see subdomains as, totally different sites for the most part. So that authority from one subdomain's not really going to help the authority from another subdomain. So you want to really try to consolidate those under one subdomain and just I would use normally just directories. So, maybe in this case, jobalign/demos or jobalign/H&R Block instead of those different subdomains. It does the same purpose of creating the division of the site, but it makes it much easier for the SEO side of things to share that authority. And that way you don't have to build up authority on each subdomain. You can consolidate under one and help all of them get that authority at one time. Otherwise it really duplicates your efforts. Okay, so next thing, I want to go into something a little bit different, more content review. And you've probably heard content is king, and it's true. For SEO, content's one of the biggest things that you could do to help your site is get the right content on your page. And first thing I do, I go back to that crawl sheet and I look at different things to see if there's anything missing. I look at the title tags, meta descriptions, and even the H1, H2 headings. And when I look at those, I like to see if there's any duplicates. And when I'm talking about duplicates this time, it's not duplicate URLs like, it's the same content in every page. This would be different pages, but they're using the same title tag or the same meta description. That's kind of a no-no. You don't want that. You want each title or in each description unique to that page. You want it to basically be like a mini ad to help, tell people, okay, this is what the page is about, and this is why you should come and read it, and this is what's going to show up on your search results pages when they're finding this page. Another thing you want to check is to see what kind of keywords they're using in those fields. Are they using the same keyword in their title, meta description, and their H1 when you get to the page? And really that's important, because if someone does a search for truck accessories, and they find that in the search results, and they click on the truck accessories link from the title, and they get to the site and it's about something completely different, or they don't see truck accessories. It's more, oh, here's your I don't know, vehicle parts. It's not the same. It might drive some people off. So you want to make sure you're consistent in your messaging. And so let me see. So for this, I really, after I've looked at the crawl data and went through that, I look at the top 3 pages on the site. And if you have analytics, this is really easy. Or you can just basically guess of what are the most important pages on the site. I like to also vary it too. I look at maybe one, the main page, the home page. The second one I would look at is maybe one of the main category pages, especially if it's e-commerce. And then I would look at more of a product page or an inside page, and to see how those are different. Because usually each category page and product page, they use the same template. So if you vary the ones that you look at on this, it'll be more valuable to you and to your client. And so, first thing I look, okay, let's look at the title tag. Is it too long, too short? If it's too long, it might be rewritten by the search engine. So you want to make sure that it keeps under that. This one, I bet, is probably too long. It's probably going to get cut off. Then you'll look at the meta description. Okay, same thing. Is it too long? Is it actually there? There's a lot of people that don't put meta descriptions and leave it up to Google to find it for themselves. And that's not a good thing, because I've seen some really messed up meta descriptions that really don't help people click on that link. So you get a lot better click-through rate if you update your own meta descriptions. Okay, so next thing you want to do is look at the actual content on the page. And there's different things you want to look at here. Is the messaging consistent? Like I said before, is the title tag, meta description, and the content on the page have the same message? Also, are they using the same keywords? In this, you could see, okay, bike shop services is used all 3 places. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. Like it has services and bike shops on the meta description in 2 different places, and that's fine. You don't want to be spammy, but you want to use that keyword naturally. You also want to make sure you're using the correct keywords, and this is a good place to look at it when you're looking at what keyword is used. I've had different clients where they don't want to use a certain keyword, even though it's the keyword that everyone's looking up. For example, denim. You might have denim jeans, but most people, they actually search for blue jeans. Also, you have car parts. Are you going to put it under car parts, or are you going to put it under automobile parts? You want to do some research, find out what people are targeting, and then use them. Don't be spammy. That's where people used to do it back in the old days of SEO. Not anymore. You want to use it naturally, and you don't want to overdo it. If it seems weird to you and people don't talk like that, don't do it that way. Okay, so the next thing, it's very related to content, is a UX review. This, you really want to look at the content, say, okay, is it clear? Are the headings clear? Okay, I got bike shop services at the top. Down below, you see tune-up service packages. Yeah, they're related, makes sense. I can easily scan to the section that I want to go. And that goes into the next part. Is it easy to read? This one, yeah, it's very scannable. It's broken up into sections. There's bullet points that make it real easy, real simple. And okay, then the next thing is, okay, is there clear user pathways? Do I know what to do next? Just simply looking at this, oh, I see a go button on the right-hand side, looking for my local shop. Okay, done. That's fairly easy. I know what to do. So you want to make sure that, once you get to the user to the page, that they know what to do. Because really, you could do all this stuff, and if your user's not making, commitments, not converting on your site, it doesn't matter. All the other stuff is trashed. But you really want to help the user, help make sure that things are clear, that people are converting. And if you don't, then you're in trouble. Okay, so, really all this stuff you can do fairly quick. Just give a few pointers on each one. Okay, and then next we're going to really kind of switch gears, go to the kind of off-site review. And this is looking at, comparing really the authority that you have to the other people that you're going against. So in this case, I looked at REI again, put in a couple competitors, okay, that I know Amazon is always just about everyone's competitor. They have a huge authority on this one, page authority of 97. It's going to be basically impossible to beat. Then you got Big Five Sporting Goods and Cabela's. Okay, so, you can see, okay, REI.com homepage, it's beating out Big Five and Cabela's. Not the Amazon homepage. But, you don't really have to beat out the Amazon homepage because they're kind of an everything store. You're more specialized. So, there's some things you can do. So authority is not the end all if you just want to specialize your content to beat out the big giant like Amazon. And it can really be done. And remember, you don't have to beat everyone online. You don't have to beat Microsoft. You don't have to beat Google. You just have to, really beat out your competitors. And to do that, you want to build authority. You want to get out there, be seen, get people to link to your site. And the best way to do that is build out, good content that people like, that people want to share. So, after you get those links, you want to really, review of, what's been going on, because Google also looks at your links, and they've really stepped up their penalties lately. So you want to make sure you're not doing any of that shady link buying or link practices anymore. And you also want to make sure, if you did it in the past, that you go back and clean all that up. Because a link from 5, 6, 7 years ago can really hurt you today. So make sure you review that link profile. And I would also say, go back and review it every 6 months or so, just to keep safe. And you never know what kind of additional links might come up on your site. So on this profile, again, looking at REI, you can see, it's fairly gradual. You'll see some ups and downs, and that's normal. But I don't see any, really sharp increases. If I saw for a long time that they were down to 100,000 backlinks, and then all of a sudden overnight they got up to 800,000, that's where something's going wrong. And when that happens, you don't want to really do a full backlink profile for your SEO audit, not in this case, but then you want to say, okay, this is what I recommend. I recommend kind of a separate task or a separate job for this site is to go back, review all the backlink links that are to the site. And this is going to take some time. So if you find anything, iffy, do a full review, find out what those links are that are pointing to you, see what the ups and downs really are. It could be that you just had a lot of press at that point, and that's fine. But you just don't want to, find out that someone in your back office said, oh, I want to get a bunch of links, and it's only $20 and it gives me 10,000 links. I'll do it. No, you don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that everything's safe. Even if you're guaranteed by the management that, oh, we never did that, it's always a good thing to check, because sometimes their SEO guys in the past might have taken some shortcuts, and so it's a good thing to review. Let's see, and next, also, if you have access to your Google Webmaster Tools for that site, always check the manual actions page. That will let you know if there's any current manual penalties. Sometimes they don't give you as much information as you like, but it will give you at least a place to start. Okay. And then the next thing to do is really check out some of the social media accounts. And you might ask, okay, what's social have to do with SEO? And really, it's all about authority. It's any link that you can get that points back to your site, whether it's on a social channel, a forum, a website, or a blog. It's very valuable for your SEO because it gives you that authority. So a good place to start is looking at your social media accounts. First, you want to see, okay, is the profile completely filled out? Do you have a description of what the company is? Do you have an image, of your logo, or if it's just an individual, of that person? Do you have a link back to your site? Because that's a way people can get back to you, and way to funnel your audience. And you want to make sure that's filled out 100% complete. And then look at, are they actively posting on those channels? Are they using Twitter and Facebook, LinkedIn, or Google+? What are they using? What are they not? And just report back to them and say, hey, you have 7,000 followers on Twitter, but you only post or tweet maybe once a month. That's not a good thing. Or same thing with Google+. Are they totally ignoring that, but they have tons of followers? Or in the reverse, are they totally doing too many updates on something that has no followers whatsoever? So, you could report back to them. And this is a way, to build some audience and to, figure out or help you build that authority on your site. Okay, so far we've reviewed the technical side, the content on the site, and some of the external or offsite SEO. And really for this audit, that's about it. The next thing I would do is I would take all those notes that I had and really prioritize them. Usually what I do is I look at the how big of a deal is this? Is this something that's totally blocking my site? Is it blocking pages that I really want indexed? Okay, that's a high priority if I find those. Okay, so I might put those up a little bit higher. Or you might find some stuff that's really simple. It'll take me 5 minutes to fix this thing, and then you'll see this result. That's something that you want to push up too, just to get it out of the way. So prioritize your findings, make a nice list. That way when you pass it off to your client or to your team or even just doing it yourself, you have some place to start. So that's kind of about it. I went through a quick review or quick kind of step-by-step process of what I do. So now's the time. If you have any questions or have anything else to say, please do.
Thank you, Ken. That was fantastic. I'm sure that you all have some great questions after. Sorry, I'm pulling this out. There we go. Yeah, I see some great questions in here, so we'll go ahead and get started on the questions. Adam asks, yes, there will be a SlideShare link coming to you in a follow-up email, so look for that in the next day or two. Juliet asks, do you know if Screaming Frog is subscription-based?
Nope, it's not subscription-based. You pay a one-time fee and you get to download the software. It's also nice. You get to, if you download it, you get a 30-day trial. So if you just need it for a one-time shot, you're good to go. But it's really definitely worth the money if you could do it.
Do you know how much that is?
I don't remember,
Okay.
but it's fairly reasonable.
Okay, awesome. Kyle asks, do you have any information on using a single H1 tag? Google's web span team says multiple isn't really a big deal. A lot of blogs use two H1s, one for the post title and one for the title of the site. Is it more about dividing keywords than actual penalty?
Yeah, with the H1s, it's not really about a penalty. It's more about kind of confusing the search engines. Like I said before, if you have an H1, it's going to tell the search engines, okay, this is the main part of the site. You know, and it's going to say, okay, this is the topic, and you know, if you have a good page with content that's clear and you know your content's consistent, it's not going to be a big deal if you have two H1s. But I always try to make it as close to perfect as possible. So you know, I always hold back. Just don't try to confuse them. Try to do it as simple as possible. Just use one H1 if possible.
I know, to follow up on that, I know like in blogs, like the blog landing page, the homepage of the blog will have an H1 for the title of the blog, and then each of the posts might be an H1 as well. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a certain way to do it, but do you think that blog homepages are kind of looked at differently than all the other pages?
Yeah, definitely. The Google knows the common blog platforms like WordPress. I'm blinking on my names here. You know, they know WordPress. They know how to crawl it. They know what it means. So, you know, if you have a common platform like that, this shouldn't be an issue.
Great. Rashang asks, how do we fix subdomains if they already exist? Is there a way to tell Google to overlook a subdomain?
Okay. So, you know, subdomain in itself is not a horrible thing because, you know, it's a section of your site. The best thing to do is if you can move that content into a subdirectory. So then at that point, then you do something else. You'd add a 301 redirect from that subdomain to point it to that new location. So that would be the best thing to do. You know, if you don't care about that content, you know, you can totally block it, but that's not something I would normally suggest.
Right. Julia asks, for a small business owner, this can be overwhelming. Is it really important? Why should I care?
Okay, good question. You know, SEO is something very overwhelming for a lot of people. A lot of people don't understand it. So with these few things that I said for this audit, you know, that's something just to at least help you get your head around the topics or understand what's going on. And that way, when you go and talk to someone else that is an expert, you know, you can understand what they're saying a little bit more and make a you know, educated decision.
Great. Let's see. Paul asks, what are you using to see your trend of referring pages? Okay.
That is a site called ahrefs.com. And I'll have that linked up in the link bundle that we'll send out momentarily.
Great. Rodrigo asks, is there a place to comment on the webinar? You have actually found it. So great. Let's see. Adam asks, number one question I get is, when will the SEO results increase my businesses? So we hear you there, Adam.
Yes, I do hear that all the time. The big thing is it depends on the site. Depends where you're at currently. If you have a site that has zero visibility or zero authority, it's going to take a lot longer. If you have a bigger site that's actively crawled by the search engines, it might take you know, just a few months. But it depends. Usually SEO is kind of a process. You'll see, you know, when you make changes to the site, you'll see, you know, some results maybe in 2 to 3 months, maybe sometimes a little quicker, but not usually. Google's kind of a slow-moving beast. But as you keep working at it and keep making your site more perfect, you know, you'll see it gradually increase. One thing I like to do is when you're in analytics, look at year over year, measurements. See how your organic traffic has improved from compared to the same time the last year.
Great. Marjorie asks, is the deliverable a PowerPoint, Word doc, or what?
Okay, so that's really up to you. I just kind of went through the steps of what I do. Usually I build it in a Word doc and then export it to a PDF just so anyone can see it. So it's really up however you want to do it.
And then Marjorie follows up with, how much explanation of terms and concepts do you typically include in the results?
I like to kind of explain everything, which makes for a lot longer document. If I do a full SEO audit for a big site, it could be as much as 80 pages, but that's very overwhelming to people. So this is why I like doing the shorter audits. So it really depends on your audience. If you know your client, or if you're giving this to somebody that's very familiar with SEO, you don't need to go into all the explanations. But if it's someone that really knows nothing about any of the concepts, you're going to want to really give them the full thing. But the thing that I've learned is, really make a cheat sheet at the beginning of it with, okay, these are our major findings. This is your checklist. Go. And then if you want to learn more, read the rest of the doc.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of knowing your audience and knowing if they're going to be passing it off to somebody that maybe doesn't know everything or wasn't part of the review process when you're handing it off. So great question, Marjorie. Alex asks, can you name all the services you use in the SEO audit except those you've mentioned in the webinar? I'm sure that you can put those in the bit.ly link bundle, kind of mentioning those. Yep. So you'll get that in the follow-up email, Alex. Matt asks, if someone copies our site, then whether we get penalized by Google, what do you avoid? How do you avoid such a situation?
Okay, yeah. There's really not much you can do to avoid that if someone copies your site, because they can view the source just like anyone else can. So, the big thing is, you can try to contact them. You can, send a copyright infringement thing to Google. But it's really difficult. We've dealt with it ourselves on Portent. If you check out our blog, I know Ian Lurie has written about this in a lot more detail than I can. But the biggest thing is the search engines really won't penalize you because they've already crawled your site. They know that you were there first. But I know it's not always the funnest thing. But there's really not much you can do unless you want to constantly update your site.
And Tom, I think, provided some helpful information here. Do a DMTA to Google and host if you get copied.
Yes.
Do you know what DMTA means?
Yep, that's a simple form that you can fill out on Google, or you can send it to the host of the site and just tell them basically, hey, this is against the law. You're copying my stuff.
Stop it.
Yeah, stop it.
But yeah, if you're there first, then then you won't get penalized. They should get penalized. Yeah. Sean asks, what do you advise in terms of how many keywords we should be targeting per landing page?
Okay, that's really good question.
Might be another topic.
It is really. For that, I normally only target for one keyword. Sometimes on a bigger topic, or if you have close keywords, you can do like a secondary keyword. But I just like to keep those pages focused. If you have another keyword that's valuable to you, it's probably warrants a separate page.
Tom asks, you recommend Deep Crawl or Screaming Frog? And if so, which one and why?
I haven't used Deep Crawl. I use Screaming Frog just because it's very simple and does a really good job. So can't really say much about Deep Crawl. Arianna,
that's Nobody's called me that yet. That's a close version of my name. But what do you think about markup HTML page? Can you share a few tips about that?
Okay. I'm guessing you're talking about the rich snippets and that type of markup. And yeah, those are great. They help the search engines understand your content even more than they can by themselves. So I like to use the schema markup, which can be found at, I think it's schema.org. I'll also add that to my list as well. And it gives you some instructions, and Google also has a preview tool that you can test out that helps you out there. But it's something definitely to use, especially if you're e-commerce, have events, or something that has reviews. It's really something good.
Great. Last few questions here. We have one from Ryan. He asks, lately people ask me why spend money on websites and SEO, specifically brick and mortar businesses, when they can have a free Facebook page. How can I respond to that?
Let's see. Yeah, Facebook is free, but you have to remember people use the web in different ways. There's a lot of people I know that kind of rebel against Facebook. They don't like it. They don't want to get on it. So they're not going to go to a site that has it. Also, when you're looking at, if you have a brick and mortar site, you really care about kind of the local SEO, their local results. So for them, the best thing to probably get get into that Google Business page. I think that's what it's called nowadays. And get all your information in there. Google also looks at your regular website. They look to make sure that your address is up there, your phone, and matches up to all your different listings throughout the web. And the more information you have, the more likely that you will be to show up in the results. And it used to be that the Yellow Pages was the biggest place for people to advertise their site. Now it's online. So you take that old spend that you used to do there, put it online. That's kind of how it is nowadays.
Adam asks, is a one-page SEO audit report enough for a small business client? Then let them decide if they want to actually implement anything in the audit and bill accordingly.
Yeah, a one-page result or audit report, it might be a little short because you can't really give them that much detail of what's going on. I think the smallest report I've ever done was maybe 5 or 6 pages, but that was for a very small site. It's really up to you of what you think your audit or who you're sending it to, your audience would deal with best. For me, I found out if I give examples, put screenshots on it, and give them reason why this is important, that helps, especially if they don't have an SEO background.
And it helps when they're trying to pitch the changes to their team and why they should be doing it, instead of, these 3 things need to be done, if they don't completely trust that those things need to be done. So
yeah, definitely. Sometimes you have to convince different departments, and so it's always good for them to have the ammo right there in the audit.
Great. Got a couple more minutes for questions. You can use the question window in GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar. So Marjorie says this is the most relevant, actionable webinar I've seen in a long time. So good job, Ken. Thank you, Marjorie. We appreciate that. Okay, great. Lee asks, how much information do you give away in an audit? If you give them too much, then they can take that info and run.
Very true, but I haven't really seen that too much in clients. Usually they're kind of afraid of SEO for the most part. I've had people say, "Oh, you go and do your SEO magic." It's something people don't understand, and a lot of people do it wrong. So you can give them warnings like that. If use an expert because we know what we can do. You could also say, okay, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the stuff that we initially found. there's more stuff after you do this, but we just want to get the most important stuff there. And that will kind of get your follow-up audience. And then also you could say, hey, after you get this done, let me kind of review what you've done to make sure it was done correctly. So you can do kind of a post-audit audit.
It's sort of like peeling the onion. Once you've seen these big things and they get them fixed, there's probably going to be more that comes out that you need to take care of. Great question, Lee. Matt asks, if I have 2 websites with the same content on both sites, how do I tell Google that one is duplicate without any 301 or 302 redirects?
Okay. For that, we talked about the canonical tags. That would be what you'd want to use there. It will just basically say, okay, Google, I have this content elsewhere. This is the one that I should use.
What about no index on the duplicate pages too?
Yeah, you could also do that. You can set up either per page the meta robots, or you can set up the robots.txt. Robots.txt will probably be the easiest one. With a few lines of code, you can tell it, okay, please just ignore this entire website.
My question would be why you want 2 websites with the duplicate content. So maybe Matt, you can chat with Ken on that a little bit more.
Yeah. There's very few times where I've seen that's really a good thing to have duplicate websites. Yeah. But, we could talk about it.
Okay. All right. I think that's all the time we have for today. There's a couple other questions that have come in. You can send those directly to Ken at kcolborn@portent.com. And don't forget that you'll get a follow-up email with the link to our SlideShare presentation, the recorded webinar, and the bit.ly link bundle. So that'll be coming to your email very soon, in the next couple of days. Join us for the next webinar in November, on November 20th. It's the week before Thanksgiving, and it will be presented by Tim Gilman, our analytics architect here, and he will be sharing the 4 things that you absolutely have to set up in Google Analytics, and all the things that you need to do about that. So you can find more information on our website or our Facebook page at facebook.com/portent.marketing. And thank you, everyone, and have a fantastic day.
All right. Bye, guys.